You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Mark Reed and Ted Durden, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Voice of Reason. My name is Ted Durden, a Southern Democrat.
And my name is Mark Reed, a West Coast Republican. I'm on a time delay here, Ted.
And together we are the Voice of Reason. For those of you tuning in for the very first time, this is a politically motivated podcast where civil discourse is the order of the day. Where Mark and I discover we have more things that unite us than we do that divide us. As I do every week, I'm going to now toss them all over to my co-host, Mark Reed, who has a monologue this week.
I have the monologue. I didn't prepare a monologue, so it's going to go into really dissecting and talking for a moment about what's going on. And
Okay.
can you really imagine, here we are doing a radio show once a week. We get along even off air, right?
Right, we do.
Hey, can you imagine being locked into a household with a Republican you really don't like? And even if you like the Republican or you like the Democrat, and you're locked into the house and one's watching MSNBC and CNN, the other one's watching Fox, after the 64 days of being held hostage by the Democrat leadership, you'd probably kill each other.
Probably.
Because it's insane. The insanity of this, hostage, basic taking of society by closing down the economy, by, all of us being basically quarantined in our homes. We can't go anywhere. And the government saying that you're non-essential and you can't work. We're going to send you a government check. You don't get a government check. They're thinking about phase 4. You haven't even gotten the money from phase 2, 3, or anything else.
Right.
I haven't even gotten my income tax return yet. So it's a joke all the way around. I mean, they're so swamped by sending out so much money that they're really not sending it out. But really, that agitates you even more is when you hear about all the different organizations that are getting money.
Oh, yeah.
But the little guys aren't getting it.
No, the people that need it the most.
People that need it the most, the small businesses that need it the most. And then you hear about it came out on the news today. And this is I brought it up in one of the episodes. I was railing on my opponent for a minute. And that everybody's complaining, President Trump fired the inspector general that's going to oversee the funds, right? And but Congress and the Senate, they have to pass the bill. So they have to have all the things inside of the bill, all the safeguards. So in the first one, they made this big complaint, right? That the big businesses were getting the money and they were applying for it and they had to give it back. The Lakers,
Right, I remember
and
that, right.
the hotels and the food chains and
Right.
Harvard and everything else. So my opponent comes out and says, we fixed it. We fixed it. Now, if you have a national organization, each facility can apply for it separately under the umbrella of that facility, right? So if the whole organization has more than, 5,000 employees, they couldn't apply for the PPP program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now they went ahead and leveled it out that the satellited facilities, right, the individual facilities. So if collectively the whole organization had, 8,000 employees, they couldn't apply. But yet if it's broken up state to state, 3 or 4 different ones, state to state, each one of those could apply. So now the big thing has got on is Planned Parenthood. You heard this in the news today?
No.
Planned Parenthood, their subsidiaries got quite a bit of money from the PPP program. And it's up in arms. Now they want to have a big investigation. Did they fraudulently fill out the applications? These elected officials are so ignorant in what they're doing and not getting the money to the people that really need it. And I keep saying that, the people that really need it. And that's the person that was living paycheck to paycheck, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I could really care less.
Just your average American citizen.
There's a whole bunch of people that, you had Gavin Newsom come out and say, we're going to fire the cops, we're going to fire the firemen, but yet we're going to give $75 million of welfare to illegal immigrants. We found that money, but we cannot give money to veterans either for housing. Okay, and we got to fire our cops, we got to fire our firemen, and it's like, where is the common sense? Seriously, Ted, where's the common sense of these people?
It seems it's gone out the window because I'd heard that part of that stimulus package that Gavin Newsom had earmarked, and I want to say $12.5 million, I believe was the figure for illegal immigrants.
Oh, 75 million.
Was it 75 million?
75 million.
Which to me is insane. I mean, the COVID virus has been like, it's been like an octopus. And I mean that in the sense the way that it has affected so many aspects of our everyday life. And I know I'm probably going to get...
No, I interrupt you. The COVID virus hasn't affected my life at all. My goddamn government has affected my life extremely.
No, but when I'm talking about, I'm talking about the effects of the impact of it. Okay.
I've been cooped up all day, so
it's all good. So, I've read a lot of stories about, and it almost seems like, and I know I'm going to get some flack from this, that the COVID virus pandemic has done a lot for those who are anti-immigrant, those who came to this country illegally. Because I read a lot of stories in the news about how a lot of the restaurants around here, just like the hotel industry, they rely on immigrants who are here illegally. They get paid under the table. You have dishwashers who can no longer work. You have people in the hotel industry that can no longer work. So that may end up reducing the number of immigrants that come to this country. It may have more impact than what Trump has been trying to do, which is an interesting aside. But at the same time, you look at what has it done to our colleges. You now have colleges who are waiving SAT and ACT scores. You also have doctors who the psychology, a psychiatric organization in the United States, worry about the mental health of the average American citizen who is now suffering from depression because they have not been able to return to work, have not been able to support their family, provide for their family.
Well, they can't even socialize with another person, their friends,
can't.
Their family,
and you
their
got
neighbors.
Gavin Newsom apportioning $75 million to illegal immigrants. It's beyond the pale. What they have done and taken advantage of the monies that have been made available is atrocious. It is really and truly is tragic.
Well, there's the crazy thing about this money. This money is actually our money. Mm-hmm. They're taking it from us and redistributing it out there, and then they give us a little bit back. And they say it's just like with myself. Okay, I've probably lost $150,000 in income. Okay, I'm getting about $40,000 back. Okay, through the different things. It's not even covering my bills right now.
Oh, no.
I mean, I've gone into my savings to cover myself. And it's like, and it's funny, I made a payment, to one of my credit cards, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that the cutoff time was like 8 o'clock because it was 11 o'clock East Coast time. I made it at 8:01, right? So the cutoff time. So I called them up to the next billing cycle and I said, can you, waive the $39 late fee? No.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. This is Bank of America. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I said, you got to be kidding me, right? Wow. You got to be kidding me. I've been with you. I owe them quite a bit of money, right? I pay the bill all the time. They looked it up. I was 2 minutes after the cutoff time.
And they really told you
they would
could
not
wait.
remove the measly $39. I'm like, okay. Maybe I should just say, I'll go all COVID on them and say, I ain't paying the bill at all. I'm going bankrupt. Tough.
Wow. Wow.
But no, I'm a responsible person. I'm going to pay my bills regardless. I haven't really tried to dive into anything or get all the how would you say, the violin out and cry mama to everyone. I still pay my mortgages. I still pay them all, but I just call them up. Just, hey, I was 2 minutes late. Take it off. No. Can I have your supervisor talk to the super? No. We can tell you how to put it on, what do you call that, the auto pay.
Right,
I don't do auto pay. I don't do anything on the internet.
I don't ever do that.
And then they said we can do the COVID virus thing, and then we can defer your payments, and everybody just still pays them. Well, I don't really want to defer my payments. I'm going to make my payments. I only called you up to waive the $39 because I was 2 minutes after the deadline.
You know who?
Are you joking?
And you know who the Bank of America in that scenario? You know who it makes me think of? It makes me think of the cable companies.
Oh yeah, they're another one.
And the reason I say that is, I mean, we're stuck at home. Yeah. We're stuck at home. So what do we rely upon? We rely upon the television for entertainment, And we also rely upon, of course, the internet, which is provided by a lot of cable providers.
Right.
And let me tell you something. They got you by the gonads, and they squeeze whenever they want to.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, like you indicated, be 1 minute late on your cable bill. They cut off your cable. They cut off your internet. There's no sympathy. There's no empathy.
Zero.
None
Zero.
whatsoever. Because they know you're stuck at home. There's nothing else you can do. There's no sensitivity, no caring whatsoever at all.
I even called up one of my advertisers. I got $1,000 a month bill from one of my advertisers for my company.
Right.
Right. It's a contract.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him. I said, "Look, my company's shut down. I'm not doing any business. Can you just not advertise? Can you just waive it?" Nope. It's going in the That's it. I tried calling my gym. The gym's closed. I can't stop the auto pays to the gym.
Well, see, mine did. I'll give.
Your gym automatically did it.
Yeah, my gym automatically.
Once they start up, I'm going to call them up and say, "Hey, are you going to give me credit back on my card because you were closed? I couldn't come in. Why are you charging me $50 a month?"
That's crazy.
And it's like I look at these. That's why I say normally I don't pay attention to a lot of stuff, but now that I'm at home a lot, it's driving me nuts because now you see all the stuff that's going on, and you make phone calls. And I'm gonna have some fun. I told you off air. I'm gonna have some fun on the internet here about some of the people and their comments that they've made.
Right.
And I'm gonna front them out because it's all public information, anyways.
Right.
But the nastiness of people is what's astounding me right now. And I honestly believe they were nasty before, this whole thing hit. And now them being stuck at home, they're just getting really nasty. And they think that they can continue their nastiness. And that's, they think that they have that ability, that right to be that way. And it's like, are you kidding me? And the reason why some of these people do it is because they think in their back of their brain, well, you're running for office. We can be as nasty as we want. We can say whatever the hell we want. And they claim that I'm being nasty towards, Congressman Sherman. I'm not being nasty towards Congressman Sherman. When I post things about Sherman, we're digging up all the information and the data on him of things, that positions he's taken that are absolutely opposite. We're pointing out what he's doing today, right? One of which, I'm going to read this one. There's a couple of them. We're going to do one before the ad and then one right after the ad. He puts on this thing here now. He says, the U.S. Department of Energy and the state of California have agreed to remove several contaminated structures at the Santa Susana Field Lab in Ventura County. The community, Congresswoman, Julia Brownlee, Assemblywoman Christy Smith, she's out of office at the end of the year, Senator Henry Stern, Assemblyman Jesse Gabriel, and I have long fought for full cleanup at the Santa Susana Field site and will continue even after today's announcement. This battle has been going on ever since he's been in office, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I go ahead, just for the Hades of it, I make a post on here. I said, a simple question. If you fought so hard, why did you miss the meeting with the Department of Energy head, Rick Perry, when he visited the Santa Susana Field Laboratory in person? Once again, claiming credit for something you have not done over the 22 years you have been in office. Your actions tell a completely different story, but now you are staking claim to the state's action. Shameless Sherman strikes again, right? So the first person that comes out, this gal by the name of Debbie Komjanovich, Mark Reed, aren't those sour grapes getting too sour? Never elected no matter how hard you try.
Wow.
So I wrote back to her and I said, Debbie, no sour grapes. I do not know how far back your family tree goes in the San Fernando Valley, but mine goes back 5 generations. Now, since Sherman was elected in 1996, we have all watched the valley turn into an S-hole of a place to live. So your snarky little comments are just that. Now that your Democrat leadership are letting criminals out of prison, I hope you know how to defend yourself because of the budget. Wow, what's that noise?
What is that?
Something's going. There you go. Something we got interrupted with a text issue going on.
He said it was a phone call.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. You're
Yes, sir.
supposed to call it
take
7:30.
your time.
You're supposed to call it
Take your time.
7:32, buddy. But anyway, so finishing up, so your snarky little comments are just that. Now that your Democrat leadership are letting criminals out of prison, I hope you know how to defend yourself because of the budget cuts
I
of the
agree with you.
Democrat
I agree
leadership.
with you on
Disconnect the
that.
phone. Disconnect it.
I agree with you on.
Disconnected. Supposed to call it 7:32. That's Will. I hope you know how to defend yourself because the budget cuts by the Democrat leadership. Just answer it and disconnect it.
Okay.
Press number 1314 on the board. On the board,
On the board, press 1314.
where it says mute.
Right, there you go. Thank you. All right, so a little technical difficulties going on in there with somebody who's supposed to call in at 7:32, and he's calling in now, interrupting the entire show, which is really kind of a big annoyance. Now that your Democrat leadership are letting criminals out of prison, I hope you know how to defend yourself because of the budget cuts by the Democrat leadership. The police department most likely will not show up in time. So your sour grapes. So sour grapes. No, just a sorrow for the destruction of the valley I love so much. Right?
Yeah, because
So-
all you're doing is stating facts. Facts are facts. It doesn't have
that's
anything to
it.
do with sour grapes
Yeah.
whatsoever.
So another one comes in here is, Mark Reed Sherman isn't responsible for everything that happens here. We are too. You want a better government, be a better citizen, as Jim Wright says. This is from Kate Bramby. So I wrote back to Kate, very nice. I try to be as cordial as possible to all of them because I understand their frustration and anger. I have the same frustration. That's why I'm running for office.
Sure.
But I'm just not a nasty little creature.
Right.
Right? So, Kate Bromble, you are correct to a point. Everything emulates from the individual house, and when a community starts on a downhill run, it's because the tipping point has been passed. It's because of the majority of the liberal homes in the valley that Sherman was elected. So he is now carrying out their agenda. It will take the community to get so upset at the way the valley has become to elect someone who will clean it up by addressing the issues we face here in the valley. So I don't blame Sherman for the way he is. He was raised that way. But we do have elections, and if the tipping point has been reached, we will vote for new leadership, unless you are all happy with the way things are. For myself, absolutely not happy, right? So this other lady jumps in here, this Jackie Gregg. This is your fourth time trying. He's lost. He also lost a race for city council. Good thing he's a successful actor and has that to fall back on with a bunch of smiling emojis. Right? This is what I had to say. The left, some of the progressive left, they're just hateful, nasty little people. And so I wrote back to her. I said, Jackie Gregg, when a person stands up for the silent majority, it's not a loss. It's actually what we expect from our elected officials. The noisy liberal left has destroyed this valley and now destroying the state. So if all you have to offer is snarky, meaningless comments, keep them to yourself because they have no real effect on me. Good day, right? So the gal chimes in. Mark Reed, excellent point that we have elections and we keep choosing the best candidate. As a Valley native myself, it's appalling that you think your opinion counts more than other residents. Our great valley was built by those who moved here and continues to thrive in great part because of the wide range of transplants who come here to succeed, especially ironically since the president, her presence is a gift in the valley, referring to one of the other snarky ones, right? So my reply back was, let's see here. Let's go ahead and go to an ad, Sam, and then I'm going to get these replies laid out here and go. So Sam, go ahead.
Before you go on, I just want to say this
Yes.
about what you've read so far.
Sure.
This show is about civil discourse.
It is.
That's what it's about. And it's saddening that, you know, social media goes the way that it does. Now, I've known you for a while.
Right.
You're articulate. You're passionate about your position. You have a genuine concern about the everyday American citizen,
Right.
regardless of your political affiliation. I enjoy nothing more than a passionate debate or discussion about anyone's position as long as they are based on relevant facts. Personal attacks have no place in the political arena. I know it's become a commonplace. I know that it has. Even with this administration, it's gotten bad. Other administrations
Yeah,
have been
and
have been
I
as bad.
disagree with
Right.
a lot of his comments
but
as well.
But again, I look at you,
Mm-hmm.
consider you a friend, and it's just beyond the pale. The personal attacks. Have a civil discussion. If you disagree with my position or Mark's position, point out whatever the discrepancies or whatever the failings are. If you have any additional information that you would like to offer that may contradict or shed light on my position or Mark's position, by all means do so. But whether on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever, on Instagram, InstaChat, whatever, just attacking somebody just to attack someone as if it makes you feel better, in all reality, makes you small. It really makes you small. And it does nothing to strengthen your position. It actually makes you look weak, because if you have nothing more than that to contribute, you might as well not say anything at all. But I just had to share that. So please go ahead.
And, you
Mark.
know, and you're absolutely correct, because when I was the national rep for American Indians and I'd have to sit in front of everybody, I would tell them that when you're speaking on a public platform, you're representing the entire tribe, all American Indians.
Right.
So if you go out there and you're employed on set and you really act like a jackass, you know, putting it mildly, you know, the producers are not going to want to hire American Indians
Right.
because they look at it as a whole. Mm-hmm. That's it, as a
Absolutely.
whole. And
Absolutely.
I've heard showrunners state that.
Yeah.
You know, they've had nothing but problems. They get drunk on set, da-da-da-da. So my whole thing always was, you're an ambassador. So these individuals that get on Facebook and they decide to go after the challenger, okay, you know, look, I'm putting my name out there.
Right.
Okay, I'm putting myself out there. I'm putting my family out there for the public ridicule, for public, you know, for civil discourse, right?
Right.
To talk about the issues, what's happening, what's going on in San Fernando. And there's a lot of issues going on in the valley.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's just not the COVID virus. There's a lot of issues going on prior to the COVID situation.
Yeah, definitely.
We got some massive things going on, but this is a good one. You're gonna like this stuff. This is all the left. You know, the right people who support me aren't gonna say this stuff, right?
Well, no, I know
So
that.
this is the left, right? This comes from this gal and she's a healthcare worker. Allison Randall Litzinger writes, Mark Reed, don't try to gaslight me, you obnoxiously smug moron. You absolutely disgust me as a human being. How do you like it? Where I went there that time, you ambient shit. You are even lower than amoeba.
Wow.
This is what I.
She sounds like a real happy person, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, a real happy
She
creature.
she needs to go find her happy place.
She needs to find a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Wow.
You know, and there's another one that you know is just what it amazed the living tar out of me. You know, I know, and I've known this guy for a while. He's a spiteful guy, actually, and I feel bad for him, actually. This one guy writes, you know, Dave McIntosh, very nice though. He says, "Thank you for the advice." He writes, you know, maybe I should run in another spot, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, "Thank you for the advice, but my expertise in I can barely see it isn't national issues and foreign policies." So he writes, "Mark Reed, you might be elected and see me, but the demographics don't favor you here." So I very nicely wrote, Duncan McIntosh. John Lee won his district, which is 50% of the 30th district. He's Republican. The state assembly seat is being won by a Republican as well, which covers 35% of the 30th district. I have their support and the full endorsement of Greg Smith, the former city councilman. I have the full endorsement of Congressman Mike Garcia as well. It's about electing a representative that will represent the district, not just the party he or she is registered to. If you want to improve the conditions in the district, we will have to take a chance. What do we have to lose? So now this guy I'm talking about, he comes out. Mark Reed, your experience is in losing to Brad Sherman. Look forward to you doing it again in November when we see the biggest blue wave in our nation's history. So I wrote back to him nicely. I said, Bob Epstein, your hateful attitude is amazing. It's only second to your partisan ignorance that is tearing this country apart. But you won't see it, and you will continue expressing it, hoping to fill a personal void of incompetence. I wish you a great day and a wonderful life. So Bob Epstein writes back. Right? He says, let me get this straight. My partisan ignorance? Oh, okay. I think when it comes to ignorance, you are the expert. Do I appear ignorant?
Not at all.
So I wrote back to him again very nicely. Bob Epstein, why do you even bother with me when you obviously have such a disdain for me and my politics? Ignorance comes to mind. A competent, self-assured person would just scroll on by. But your partisan hate just won't let you do it. Now will it? So this other guy jumps in. William Tumberland is his name. A competent, self-assured candidate would do the same without whining about his perception of his opponent's ignorance. So I write back to him nicely. William Tumberland, not whining, just pointing out facts. It's not my perception. Just take a gander at the average comments about my opponent. Not very good, sir. It's about 30 negative to 1 positive. So finally, this other guy steps in, nice guy, Dave Stanford. He writes in, I'll say this for you, Bob Epstein. Your nasty, hateful partisan attacks are very consistent with what we see with Bradley Sherman, my opponent. He doesn't add anything beneficial to the national dialogue.
That's true.
This is that silent majority I was trying to tell that lady about. Now, this comes, with the comment when I put one of my advertisements on there from before. But, what they're upset about is because we did the research on Sherman. Mm-hmm. He's got 23 years of service. He has authored 163 House bills. He's sponsored and introduced to Congress by Brad Sherman. 3 House bills became law, 3 of his. 2 of them were naming a post office. One of them was an amendment to an immigration bill for Pakistan.
Wow.
That's a 2% success rate. 160 House bills never became law. That's a 98% failure rate. So now he always, these supporters of his always hangs hat. Oh, he's doing this and he's doing that. He's doing everything under the sun, and they post all this garbage that he supposedly has done. Well, this is what he claims. Co-sponsored, proxy vote, right? Co-sponsored means that somebody writes the bill, they circulate it around. They say, hey, Ted, you like this thing? You want to co-sponsor it? Sign your name on there. Okay, yeah, I like it. So you support it. So it gets enough support to get to the House floor so they can put it to a vote or send it to committee or get it out of committee and put it on the House floor, right? So on his, right, this is the funny part, co-sponsored proxy vote, 3,907 House bills that he just came along for the ride, and only 269 of them passed and became law. That's a 6.8% success rate with a party vote. That's only when the Democrats ran the whole thing.
Right.
All right. 3,638 House bills never became law. That's a 93.2% failure rate. If you had that kind of success and failure rate of a employee, would you keep him?
No. And I tell you, like you said, he's been around for 23 years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to when Bill Clinton ran against Papa Bush. And it was one of my favorite ads that he ran. He talked about the economy. And then he said, at the end of it, how you doing? So the question you have to ask yourself, those who have been supporting Brad Sherman for the last 23 years, look around the valley, see what has happened to it. How's it doing? That's what you have to ask yourself. How's it doing? Because it doesn't matter how many things you proposed. If you propose 163 and you only get 3 done, 2 of which is naming a post office, that's nothing to clap your hands about. That's nothing to shout
That's
about.
not to brag about.
It really and truly isn't. It isn't. And I know about the whole co-sponsorship. Yeah, if somebody presents it to you, most of the people that sign these things don't even read them.
No, they don't.
They're just
patting
told to
each other on the
say,
back.
hey, we think it's going to pass. Go ahead and sign your name. That way you can claim, and when you run for office again for re-election, that you co-sponsored this bill. Yeah, most of the time they don't even read them. It's a sham. It really and truly is. It's a sham, and it's a travesty, because when you elect somebody into office, you want to make sure that they're doing their job. Look, I've seen what has happened to the San Fernando Valley. It's under Brad Sherman's tutelage, under his administration. It's gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. There's very little that he can really put his finger on and claim success at, other than being reelected.
Well, most of the Valley, progressives will say, they come out and say, well, there's nothing in the Valley that's federal. When I bring up homelessness, mental health, drug addiction, law and order, judicial reform, prison reform, I bring these things up and they say, well, that's all city and county and state. And I said, no, it's not. I said, do you understand HUD? Do you understand any of the mental institutions? Do you understand any of this? He brought $180 million back for a homeless think tank in Virginia. Not one dime will come back to this district.
Right.
Who was he paying off? What donations was he getting? Okay, what is he doing? Nothing. So when they say that, oh, none of this money comes back, he can't do anything, no, it's a crock. It's that people don't understand the fact that he has not been doing his job in the district. He lives in D.C. with his wife and his children. He comes back here maybe once a year, or he flies in and out for a campaign function, and that's it. He has his last chief of staff, prior to the one he has now, became a state assemblyman and then was kicked out because he tried to rape a lobbyist in Las Vegas. Okay, and then all of that came out. The Me Too went after him, heavily went after him. And 3 more people came out about allegations of rape and sexual assault and harassment from the same guy while he was working for Sherman in his office.
Right.
So what kind of a guy allows or has this going on in his office?
And claims it was totally unaware of it.
He was
He knew
completely
nothing about
unaware. He
it.
didn't know anything about it,
Right.
And then his big fix to it was, well, I'm going to have the senior male staff talk to the senior male staff, and I'm going to have the interns talk to the interns, and if anybody has a complaint. Just the atmosphere of put it this way, UCLA and USC both came out and told their poli-sci graduates, don't work for Sherman. He is a political liability. It's in their newspaper, in the school newspapers. It also came out, and I believe it was the LA Times. Okay, don't work for him as a political liability. This is in the same grain of watching everybody accept the guttural politics on both sides of the aisle. I'm not favoring one side or the other.
Right.
Because we got gutter rats on the Republican side as well.
Yeah.
We can sit there and say that, that Donald Trump's a gutter rat, and I understand all his innuendos that were going on, and his, marriages, 3 marriages, and his comments he made to that Bush kid in the bus and everything else. And now, but we make the same complaints about Joe Biden. Oh no, it's okay. Joe didn't happen. And he's talking about pedophilia. I like little kids jumping up and down on my lap. And when I was a lifeguard, they would rub their hands up and down on my white curly hair.
I didn't hear anything about that. You talking about from Joe Biden?
Joe Biden? Oh yeah. Our tech guy's shaking his head. Yeah, that's.
Shut up, Jack.
Seriously.
Are you
Serious. At break, we'll YouTube it. Okay,
Okay.
you'll find it. All right, we're going to go to our midline commercial. We'll see you at the other end, and we're going to YouTube it. Go ahead, YouTube it.
Hi, my name is Ted Durden, and I want to take a moment to talk to you about trust, and I trust churchandlaw.com. When it comes to workers' compensation and employment law, you can trust churchandlaw.com. If you ever need legal advice, you can rely on it's churchandlaw.com. Black and white, no gray, churchandlaw.com. 818-230-3110. churchandlaw.com. A law firm you can trust and count on.
Welcome back to the Voice of Reason. We're having an interesting conversation today about the turn of events and kind of railing on my opponent a little bit. We got a little sidetracked into the Joe Biden and just the morality aspects of everything, where the Republican Party is held to this higher standard because supposedly we're the religious right and we're moral. So when we screw up, we're expected to step down. We're rotten, we're horrible, we're this and that. In the progressive left, they're more accepting of it because it's expected.
Well, I don't know, because
Bernie Sanders, not Bernie Sanders. I don't have anything bad about Bernie, except for Bernie got screwed by the DNC. What's his name? Barney Frank. Barney Frank was.
And Al Franken. You look at what happened with
same
Al Franken,
stuff.
right?
Yeah. But you look at those things, and it's like, wait a minute, how none of it should be accepted. I don't care what side of the aisle.
No, it isn't.
When you're a public figure, you're held to a higher standard on both sides of the aisle,
right?
And you're expected to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what direction do you want to lead in? See, and this is why it becomes discerning to me, is why is it acceptable to the Democrat leadership of, how would you say, this massive immorality while you're in office? If you're not in office, go do what you want to do. I don't care if you've got 2 donkeys, a goat, and a sheep in your backyard and you're bedding down. While you're in office, you're representing the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
You're representing an institution. You're representing a district. You're representing people and the aspirations of those individuals that want to be better and do better in their own personal lives. And I have the same attitude towards ball players. The people in sports are being paid millions and millions of dollars. They deserve it. They fought. They got there. They've put in hundreds and hundreds of hours, to get where they're at. But realize that you are a social influencer by your actions.
Yeah, but I don't expect the same. I mean, a ball player, baseball, football, volleyball, pick your ball.
Right.
And you and I have talked about it. We look to our parents for role models. Right. I mean, athletes, you can look to them for the athletic prowess and try to emulate them. That's all well and good. Our elected officials, we do have a higher standard for them. I don't think any appropriate behavior, any sexual harassment, inappropriate sexual behavior, I don't think should be accepted by either side. Any comments. And the sad truth is, it goes underreported or unreported.
Right.
It was only until the Me Too movement came along that brought a lot of this to light. Right. Now, I know that any inappropriate behavior should not be accepted by either side. It should not be.
Not at all.
No, not at all. I think the one person I think got railroaded was Al Franken. Because Al Franken, in that picture where everybody said that he did something inappropriate, the woman was asleep. He didn't touch her. He held his hands over. Did it look good? No. But he never touched the woman. He got railroaded. He was the last person that something should have happened with. The cloud that's hanging over Joe Biden right now needs to be dealt with. And the problem with the Democratic leadership, they don't know how to. They don't know what to. They don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, because they were calling for an FBI investigation of Kavanaugh. You know, and there was less supporting evidence than what's going on with Biden.
Well, I think it's about the same, because in Kavanaugh you had the woman the woman making accusation. With Joe Biden, you had the woman making the accusation.
Yeah, but it's backed up by reports, complaints, employment, dates, times. people
Well,
that worked in the
but-
office
yeah,
with
but-
her as well.
But the accusations against Kavanaugh, you had some people that said that she did tell. Now, they were family members and they were friends. Now, the people at the party, they didn't recall any of this, and the woman who's accused Joe Biden, she did report it to her family. She also, if I recall correctly, she also reported it to somebody in Joe Biden's office.
Yeah, in the Senate.
Right, yeah,
In the
and-
Senate. She made a complaint.
Right.
But what it boils down to, and I said this during the Kavanaugh hearings, is that whole, and it goes right into the grain of the next step I'm going to go into, that it did more damage to the Me Too movement and the, how would you say, the carnival atmosphere of the political weaponizing of a sexual harassment or sexual rape allegations did more damage to the average teenager or young adult that gets raped. Michael Reagan brought this out. It takes a child 9 times, telling somebody 9 times, or even 9 different people, before they are taken seriously that they were molested. So when you take this and you weaponize it for political gain, you're putting this out on a world stage and you're destroying women. You're completely destroying it. And the predators get away with it because they just figure, okay, just like in his office, okay, you have these interns who go to work for there, they get harassed, they get molested, raped, or whatever happens in there. Are they going to rat them out? No, they
they're
just
not,
spend
no.
how much money and time in college to get their
Right.
political degree, and they want to work in the government. This is their aspiration, but then they
Right.
go to work for this filthy human being. I mean, to me, he's a filthy human being. I don't care. You run an office that way, and I've had people say, "Oh, well, it's his office. It wasn't him." No, I've had reports from mothers that he's gotten in the kids' faces and screamed, yelled, and completely demeaned them.
Really?
Yes. Okay, and I've equated that, and I've talked to psychologists about it. I didn't need a psychologist. I talked to him about the behavior. And they said, yeah, that's indicative of a predator. A predator will sit there and humiliate and drive somebody into the ground, or their whole office atmosphere in the ground, because then they can pick out who's vulnerable. The ones who are not vulnerable will get away, they'll fight back, they'll quit, move on to another office. The ones that are vulnerable, coming from a broken home, will stay there and take it. They're vulnerable to being molested or
Right, yeah,
raped or
that's
taken
very
advantage
true.
of.
That's very,
right?
very true, yeah.
And that's just common.
Yeah, it's called
So
grooming.
when I sit there and I say it's his office, it's him. Even in the last debate, the one debate that he had outside of the district, I brought it up right up to him. He is unqualified to run an office because you have this going on in your office. They say the buck stops there. Well, the buck stops there.
Well, it also said that a fish stinks from the head.
That's right. Exactly. That's another good one. So this is where, again, it boils in. I was talking about a little bit of his history and stuff. And he comes out. Now, you and I have been doing a lot on China.
Right,
Right?
yeah.
Okay, so and we even before the virus came out, we've been doing a lot on China.
Right.
So he finally comes out. He says, when the Communist Party of China sees a problem, their response to silence people. In Wuhan, the world was deprived of timely information. In Hong Kong, the people are deprived of the modest liberty China agreed to. How many months has this been going on? And he's just now doing this?
Oh my God, this has been started in December of last year.
Right.
So now we're 7 months in.
Right. So I get in here and I got railed for it. I said, but I've been on top of this issue before the pandemic, and even this move is too late for Hong Kong. The Communist Party of China has passed legislation that will strip their rights and breaks their 50-year agreement. This party is strictly this post is strictly a re-election Hail Mary for votes, but it is too late. Sherman is in the House Foreign Affairs Committee. What hearings is Sherman conducting or calling for to hold the Communist Party of China accountable? 0. Sherman has joined his ranks of leadership to once again investigate President Trump for another impeachment round. You know that, right?
Yeah.
They're going after him again for impeachment again. I mean, look, we've had enough, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Okay, now, when we did the episode with Gordon Chang, right? We talked about China, the Communist Party of China, and how they've infiltrated
Our college
campuses.
Right.
And
The Confucius Institute.
The Confucius Institute, they've actually now are in a major investigation, not the Democrats, the Republicans on the Senate side,
Right, I heard
and a
about
major
that.
investigation of hundreds of millions of dollars being donated to these colleges that have gone unreported. Unreported. Foreign money from China, unreported, and going directly to some of the professors. Okay, this is unbelievable. Why isn't this, my opponent, this moron, that these people are backing, why aren't they calling us out? It's like, wait, you're on the House of Foreign Affairs Committee. You're on the Finance Committee. Why aren't you on top of this stuff? Now, so he writes on here, right? Let's see here. Here's another one. Okay, this is a funny one to me. He says, today I put forth the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, a bill that will protect investors by ensuring that foreign companies listed on the for trading on the U.S. stock exchange are subject to the same rigorous accounting, audited oversight of U.S. companies. Senator Kennedy, 3 months ago, proposed a bill, right, of taking away their stock exchange completely. Right, so they can't even be in the stock exchange.
Exactly right.
He put that bill forth 3 months ago. Okay, went through the committees. It got there. Boom. The day before he puts this bill out here and makes a big splash about it, press release and all this crap that he's holding China accountable.
Right.
Okay, he puts it out there like he's doing something. The next day, Senator Kennedy's bill passes.
Wow.
I mean, this guy is a
day late and
dude.
a dollar short.
No, it's not a day late and a dollar short. This is all manipulation. This is as good as the Chinese Communist Party political machine and their PR crap that they do over here in the United States. Look at me, I'm doing something. And it just rails me how gullible the average person is of looking, oh, he's finally doing something. He's joining President Trump. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, he's not. He's 4 months ahead of an election. He knows that I've been holding his feet to it. I've got a team of people working with Twitter and my Facebook accounts and everything else. And they're just railing. They're digging up all of his stuff, right? And they're bringing it out. And people think, oh, I'm sour grapes because I haven't won. No, I'm going after a seat that has been held by a Democrat for 24 years. Okay, prior to that, it was held by a Republican, I believe, for 4 years. And prior to that, it was held by a Democrat for 20 years.
Right, 20 plus.
The district is fed up. The district needs to come out and vote. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. We get along quite. I have a lot of Democrat friends. And
Right.
75% of the time, we see eye to eye.
Well, but Mark, it's like we've talked about.
Yeah.
And hence the birth of my closing remark about ignorance prevails when rational minds sit back and do
Right.
nothing. People don't know, and you and I have talked a lot about it, and it is a recurring theme on our show.
Oh, without a doubt.
And that's education, and that's becoming aware, knowing what's going on in your community, knowing what your elected officials are doing. Because if you don't know, it's like the old saying, give a starving man a crust of bread, and he thinks he's dined on a sirloin steak.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a constituency of people in the Valley who are really and truly, and I'm talking on the Democratic side, are
Republicans
really,
too.
Well, but the Republicans have a tendency to be more aware of what the elected officials are doing than Democrats. Unfortunately, a lot of us have a tendency to be lemmings, and we just go along because that's what we've always done. So they're not aware of the fact that Brad Sherman, being in office for 23 years, hasn't accomplished much of anything.
I spelled it out. He hasn't accomplished anything.
I
He's
mean,
named two post offices.
They vote out of habit. They vote out of party loyalty, and I'm sorry, I can't do that anymore. I can't. For the first time, and I think I've said on the show before, in the last gubernatorial race, I voted Republican, and I'm a registered Democrat because I could not bring myself to vote for Gavin Newsom. I'm not a fan of his. My philosophy has been simple. Regardless of party affiliation, vote for the person that will get the job done, whose values and whose goals best reflect yours. Because if they don't, you're going to get somebody like Brad Sherman who simply has a chokehold on his position.
And on that note, we're going to go to our last advertisement, and we'll see you on the other side of it.
My erstwhile opponent says I don't accept debate invitations. I accept the League of Women Voters invitation.
The League of Women Voters LA chapter was the one who invited him to the 5 debates with the Battered Women's Organization, with a synagogue, 2 churches, and the American Legion. And he turned down them all flat with the League of Women Voters. Welcome back to the Voice of Reason. You know, you were going to a subject matter that was really good, because over the last couple of days, I was contacted by a young high school kid by the name of Ryan Kasarian. And, you know, he's very involved in politics, the debate team, and everything else. He goes to my old high school, El Camino Real.
Okay.
I graduated there in '76. And so he wanted one of my T-shirts. So I said, I'd be very happy to bring one over for you. He said, all of his friends are going to vote Democrat. So I said, well, why don't you have him come over there and we'll meet. We'll all have to wear a mask and we can meet in your backyard and stuff. And so he contacted me back. That was a great idea. Contacted me back and said, the parents of the kids don't want to do it. Maybe we can do a Zoom meeting. I said, fantastic. Let's just do a Zoom meeting, right? And I'll send it off Facebook Live. And it's on my website. You know, it's on my Facebook as well. You'll see it on there. Sitting down. It's students from Mark Reed. And so we did it. And they were so happy that I gave them that value of sitting down with them and answering very direct questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was really grilling. One kid by the name of Dan, I really liked the kid, very data-driven. Democrat kid.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like Trump at all. But I really liked the kid because he is very data-driven, and he's probably the top guy on the debate team as well.
Right.
So he kept going at it, but I ended up asking the same question I asked you once on one of the shows, and that is how many of you read the National Democrat platform?
Yeah, platform, right.
How many of you read the state Democrat platform? How many of you read the Republican platform or the state platform of the Republicans? And there's none. I said, go out and ask your friends. Just do a little survey. Ask your friends. So they said, okay. I said, because when you start arguing for and standing up for the party that you're registered in, and you have never read the platform, then all you're doing is making an emotional plea for what you want. And that's it. And this is the divide that happens in this country, is people are no longer looking at policies. They're looking at who best coddles their emotional strifes and who is going to tell them what they want to hear and make them feel good.
Right.
Because once they're in office, they're going to do what they want to do.
Right.
And everybody, this is why we have a 40% participation rate. We have less than a 50%, we have less than a 50% registration rate, and a less than a 40% participation rate of the 50%, the less than 50% are registered.
Right.
Which I've broken it down. It's about 15% of the vote tells 85% of the people what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the kids are really excited. It went really well. A lot of people are very impressed with it. But I want to dive into another subject matter. You both of us kind of like Kamala Harris when she was running for president.
No.
No? Oh, I thought you did. Oh, that's right. You like Cory Booker, right?
No.
Who'd you like?
No.
You didn't like any of them.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't like Cory Booker. The only person that I just held on to has always been Joe Biden.
Okay.
When I've never been a fan. I was never a fan of Elizabeth Warren. I've never been a fan of Bernie Sanders. I thought Cory Booker, Kamala Harris were flashes in the pan. They weren't going to
Right.
amount to much of anything.
Okay.
I wasn't impressed with anybody
Okay.
that was running.
So what do you think of Joe Biden now? Would you watch him and all his babbling and?
Look, my whole thing is this. I'm not a fan of either one of them. I'm really not. I've never liked Trump. I never liked Trump. I give him his props for what he has accomplished.
But of the two that can run the country, who has the most wherewithal and abilities to stand up to foreign countries at this point, and or has the bevy of brain trust to put into positions to do the job? Well, because it's not just one person. It's never one person.
It isn't just one person. No, you're right about that. I got to look at this. If I could take Joe Biden and Trump and Donald Trump and merge them together, I think we'd have a great candidate. The issue that I have with Donald Trump, I appreciate the fact that the way he stands up to foreign countries. I don't agree with a lot of the accords that he withdrew from.
Right.
I don't. I agree with him on his stand on immigration. I do. I don't care much for his personality because he's crass.
We agree on that.
Joe Biden, watching him is like watching the Keystone Cops, except it ain't funny. It's not funny.
They're two different style of train wrecks.
Well,
you're excited.
There you go. That's the best way to put it. I mean, I watch this man fumble, fall all over himself. Most of the time, can't answer a question directly. He's almost like Trump in that sense. Yeah. If he deviates from the script, he's a lost cause. He's a lost ball in high weeds. That's what he is.
And all you do with President Trump is you're wondering who's going to insult next.
And at one point, I used to look at Joe Biden as the lesser of two evils. Now I question that because of the fact that his memory just isn't that great.
No, he's not sharp.
He forgets things.
That's why I kind of like Bernie Sanders to a degree, because he's still quick as a whip.
Yeah, but
I don't like his policies, but he's still very quick.
Neither one of them are spring chickens. I mean, Bernie Sanders to me never really properly and appropriately addressed the heart attack that he had.
Right.
That I'm sure should have scared the bejesus of all of his constituents and supporters. Yeah. Like I said,
Joe Biden, because with what we have today, they put stints in there and they're fine. But I wanted to move on from that one, because the one thing that's come out today, the breaking news today, was Kamala Harris wants to pass some legislation in the state of California to make calling the Wuhan virus, which our guest before from China said it's the Chinese Communist Party virus, the CCP virus. She wants to make it illegal and racist to say that. It's like the last time I thought we lived in a country with freedom of speech. I can call it the Chinese virus, China virus, Wuhan virus, the Beijing virus. I can call it whatever the hell I want to call it. This is freedom of speech. It opens up a Pandora's box of racist hate statements. Now, you and I have talked extensively on racism, okay? And we both know what racism is.
Absolutely.
Real racism.
Yeah, really. Truly.
Not this weaponizing. So what is your thought on this weaponizing of racism of the coronavirus?
Stupid. In a word, it's stupid. And I'm gonna one of my favorite fascist quotes by Stalin. Everybody has the right to be stupid. Some people just abuse the privilege, and I think this applies in this case here. To put something like that to a floor vote is a waste of Congress's, the House's time. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. It is political correctness run amok. Like when you and I had that segment that we did about all the changes that were being made in San Francisco.
Yep.
It's stupid.
Yep.
It's stupid. And it makes her look stupid. That's why I was never a fan of her to begin with.
Well, the entire Democrat leadership is jumping on board with it, though. And it's like, what in the hell is going on? I mean, this is so petty. Freedom of speech, like you said, you can go out and act stupid all day long. Some people abuse the privilege. You can't legislate that.
No, you can't.
No.
You can't.
I mean, but it's gone down that slippery road. It's like when you and I were, kids getting in a fight in the schoolyard, you faggot, you say something like, if you say that now and get into a fight, it's a full-on hate crime, and you're going uptown for it.
It really and truly is. And again, it's political pandering of the worst kind.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. It makes for a great soundbite. and it accomplishes absolutely nothing. It's just a waste of
On
time.
On that note, I want to thank everybody for once again tuning in to the Voice of Reason. We'll see you next week. We're going to have Dr. Nordella on the show, who's going to talk about the hydroxychloroquine, coronavirus, the treatments, and I'm going to ask him a few questions about what's happening over there at the Porter Ranch gas blowout, because they've been smelling gas quite a bit, and they're bringing that storage facility back up online. That's at 85% now, and they wanted to get it to 100%, and they're smelling gas like crazy all through the area. So tune in next week, and we'll have Dr. Nordella to answer some of those questions, and you're welcome to call in on that show and ask him some questions, because he is really, really in tune. He's done quite a bit of talking on the hydroxychloroquine and also the COVID virus 19, what's happening here in Los Angeles. Until next week, Ted, bring it on home.
And until we get through this pandemic and this quarantine, stay safe, everyone. Be well. Practice safe social distancing. And remember, ignorance prevails when rational minds sit back and do nothing. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Mark Reed and Ted Durden, only on LA Talk Radio.